Hello YouTube, I'm Shane.
And I'm Caden.
He's a little man.
And welcome to the shed.
Alright, g'day everyone. Alright, so we're back on the Jeep today. Have to gonna do a radiator flush and coolant change. So I've been driving it this morning. So I've popped the bonnet, got the fan blowing, hopefully it'll cool it all down. And let's go through what I'm hopefully going to be doing today. Alright, so we got a coolant flush. I've got coolant, both premix and concentrate, a whole heap of demineralized water. I've got brand new upper and lower radiator hoses. I've got a new radiator cap and an aluminium thermostat housing with a thermostat in it. Alright, so this radiator flush states that it's got to be put in with water. So it looks like what I'm going to have to do is dump everything out of the system, give it a good flush out, then just fill it up with water and this. It states on it, let's see, product to circulate for 45 to 90 minutes. So once it's in there, I've got a few jobs I got to do, take a load of green waste to the tip, whatever. I'll maybe go for a bit of a drive around. It's going to suck because it's 30 odd degrees today and the heater has to be on. Anyway, I'll suck it up, deal with it, do that, flush all this out again. Probably run the mineralized or the demineralized water, I should say, throughout, flush that out, put another load in of water with the concentrate then, and hopefully that should be all right. By the seams of it, it's going to be a little bit time consuming, just due to the obviously fact that you got to get everything up to temperature for quite a while. Let it cool down before you go opening up the radiator and everything like that. So anyway, let's get into it. Well, let's see if there's anything else I can talk about while it's cooling down. Alright, so to flush this out, obviously I'll drain out the radiator. I believe there is a drain valve at the bottom of the radiator, but I'll also pull off the bottom radiator hose just to get all the coolant and everything out of the block as much as possible. I do believe the Pentastars are a bit annoying to fully drain out, just due to the way that it's all designed. It's not a bottom drain point. So my plan is, I'll obviously have to pull off all the intake, and I'm going to be replacing it anyway, but there's the stock factory thermostat housing. So I'll pull that off, shove a hose in there and just give it a good blast, flush as much as I can out. Good or a bad thing, I've got a gravel driveway, so I'm going to make a mess. Yeah, so once this cools down, we'll give that a try. Alright, so first things first, the skid plate's got to come off so we can get better access up there. So it's only held on by a couple bolts. We'll see whether the little impact will do it. Here goes nothing. Alright, so for all this as well, I think I'm just going to take the snorkel off, leave it off for the moment while we're driving around and doing all that type of jazz. Intake's going to have to come off, so I've already undone that. I'll just undo bolts here. I think these ones maybe, nope, they don't have to come off, this one, and then there's an intake air temperature sensor underneath, so that'll have to come off as well. We'll pull that off, we can access the thermostat. Alright, so you can see now with the intake off, there's a fair bit of room here. So obviously, upper radiator hose, lower radiator hose goes down to there, and then comes out the thermostat housing. That's the real upper radiator hose coming back. So what I'll do is I will take off the bottom radiator hose. I know there is a petcock, but everything I've read about it says it can be problematic. I'll take that off, drain that out, take this off, take it outside and flush it out. I'll reinstall the old parts while I do the flush, and then when it comes time to putting the new parts on, when it comes time to putting the new coolant in and everything like that, I'll install the new parts then. So let's get into it. Moment of truth. The clamp is off the bottom of the radiator hose. I have some buckets and some old towels, and let's see how much of a mess I can make. Okay, so there's your answer. The pipe was pretty hard to get off. It's obviously been on there for quite a while. So now to remove the thermostat housing. Alright, so as you can see, I've rolled it outside, ready to flush it. So I've just put a little bit of tape over the throttle body just in case. It's just protection. Same, this is just sitting here, so the air temp, intake air temp sensor is connected in just in case they get wet and there's less issues. I ended up removing the hoses, both top and bottom. So what I'll do is I'll flush out through the top into the block, have it flush out the bottom, hopefully it'll all come out, and then I might just give the radiator a bit of a flush too, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. Alright, so that's cleaned out pretty good. One thing I didn't do though was empty the radiator water out. Don't worry, it's not usually that high. Sorry, the radiator overflow. It's not usually that high. I put some water into it while I was filling it, while I was flushing it out. So what I might do is pull this off. It's got a zip tie on it for some reason, so I'll have to have a look at that. Take that out, give that a good wash out too, and then reassemble. Ah, don't you love it when you're putting everything back together, get it all on and realise, oh whoops, there is something missing. Oh well, keep going. Alright, so got it started, it's running, it's going. Brought it inside, idiot me, forgot that the windows were down. It's still raining quite, well, it's starting to pick up out there. Anyway, I'll give it a quick clean off, I'll let this run, make sure the thermostat opens, all that type of jazz, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully there's no leaks. Alright, stock tune, we'll loaded the stock tune back in, been running for about half an hour now. Heater's on high, fans on high. Coolant temp's basically not going over 80. And consistent little bubbles and shit coming out of the top of the radiator cap. If I squish the top upper radiator hose, I'll just let it out slowly. Alright, so I started it up, had this in it for a while, took it for a drive around the block, up around, probably drove it for about, I don't know, 15-20 minutes, maybe a bit longer. As I had the HP Tuner scanner software going, I loaded the factory tune back in just to make sure that thermostat opened. I've lowered the fan temperatures on my tune. So anyway, I've run it all through, ran it for a while, didn't overheat, which is good. I've come back, I've had a quick look underneath, doesn't seem to be any obvious signs of leaks or anything like that from the hoses. So basically what I'll do now is I'll crank the fan back on, let everything cool down, and flush it out again, flush all the junk out, put new radiator hoses on, put the new thermostat on, put the new coolant in, obviously, and I'll put the new radiator cap on. So yeah, let's come back when it's cool and go through that. Alright, so again, taped it up using different colour tape this time because I put the other stuff down, have no idea where it is. It's worse than 10 mil. Just put that back on, cover that up, blow it out, and blow out the, wherever it is, radiator, get all that stuff out and fill it up with demineralized water this time. Alright, so the aluminium thermostat's on. Now this is a genuine Dorman one, which wasn't actually made for the Jeeps. I can't remember which platform it was made for now. It does seem to be angling a lot more downwards than the factory one, which would explain why it wasn't made for the Jeeps. Anyway, I'll give it a try and see how it goes. I'll obviously make sure that I bleed it out really well, because I can imagine air getting trapped there pretty easily. But yeah, we'll see how it goes and what happens. I'll hold on to the factory thermostat housing anyway, and if need be, I'll swap them back. Alright, so the hoses are on now. One other point to note is the lower radiator hose. So if you remember in the prior, it seemed to come out a lot further and actually was rubbing on that, had a little rub mark on there, and it wasn't all of this so much on it. Protection. Now both of these hoses are genuine Mopar hoses, and I do remember reading or hearing something about there was a change with the hoses, or a hose, or there was an issue with it at some point. That could have been it. I can't remember now exactly at all. But anyway, we'll get off these funky little tabs. We will top it up with coolant and proper demineralized water, and see what happens. Alright, so hit a snag in my well-laid plan, unfortunately. Alright, so started it up, had this going. Coolant temperature on my scanner basically kept on climbing, got to like mid to high 90s, and this was just starting to pick up until it just about started overflowing. Turned it off, left it for 5 minutes, turned it back on again just to see if it was something, what was going on. Same thing happened, temperatures just climbed, and this started filling up. So back to the drawing board, taking the intake off, at least taken the thermostat housing out. I won't be using that now. I'll actually go and check it to see whether it actually opens. I'll probably go back to the factory one. Alright, we're up and running again. Hooray! Alright, so the stock thermostat housing is back in. So the Dorman one, if you imagine, it comes out of the block like this. Yep, just like that. So stock is kind of slightly angled like this, whereas this one, the way it was sitting, was probably more like that. Now I don't know whether that was the actual issue or whether this thermostat itself isn't working. I'll have to check that. Right now I don't have the time or the resources to look into that a huge amount, but that's a future me problem. It has been running. Let's go check the temperature. Alright, so inside I've got the heater running full flat chat. It's not very nice in here because it's really hot, but as you can see, coolant temperatures have been going for, I don't know, 10 minutes or something like that. Coolant temperature's sitting at 76. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's just idling, not doing anything. I don't know if you can see it or not, but these are those little bubbles I was talking about before. There's been quite a few of them that come out. You know, they're intermingled with the big bubbles. If I grab the top radiator hose, oh, there's a big one. There's a few that'll come out. Now I've also got this tilted on an angle up towards the driver's side, just so all the air and everything does come up. So what I'll do is I might just let this run for a little bit longer. Alright, so that's it. New radiator caps on, OEM thermostat housings in, new radiator hoses, coolant's topped up. Those little bubbles basically stopped towards the end. They would come out and then a big bubble would come and all that type of stuff. So I'm still going to look into that a little bit more. I do have a tester thing coming in the mail soon to test whether there's exhaust gases in the coolant. Can't be too safe, I guess. Hopefully it was not needed, and anyway, doesn't matter. So over the next couple of days, I will just keep an eye on the coolant level, make sure that it stays topped up, and it should be all good. All I'm going to do now is clean up the absolute mess that I've created, and yeah, it should be good to go. All right, while I still got your attention, or not, I still do have this. It is a Mishimoto racing thermostat. It's the 180 degree, or it's about 82 degrees Celsius thermostat. It does go into the normal housings, regardless of which one. So I do need to look a little bit more. That Dorman one, like I said, was tilted down, which I feel that's probably the reason there was an issue. There was probably a big airlock or something going on with it. I didn't think that when I first bought it. I figured that it was coming out of the block and going the correct way. I didn't realise that different platforms, I can't remember what it was for now, one of the cars, it must have the bolts in a different spot, or it does tilt. Obviously it was causing an issue on this, so I don't know whether it was the thermostat itself or the housing. Look, I've put the factory one back on. Factory ones have been known to fail. Yeah, ironic that the aluminium one that I bought that was supposed to work hasn't. I don't know, maybe in the future I'll do a little bit more chopping and changing. I might put that aluminium one back on with the factory thermostat. I might put this into the factory thermostat housing, and see what happens. I wasn't expecting any performance gain out of using either of those. They are lower opening thermostats. My whole thing was that, especially right now, we're looking at buying a camper. We've had one before, we tow with this, and all it was to give it that little bit of leeway, I guess you'd say. Thermostat opening earlier, keeping a cooler water flowing, and then I can tune fan temps accordingly. Anyway, that is a future Shane problem. This is running now. I'm happy. And that's it. All right. See you later.